Good morning and welcome to 12 News. We're going to preempt our Today Show coverage because this is a historic event. Let's get out to Chris Williams. He's at I-10 and about 43rd Avenue, one of the areas that is hardest hit this morning. Chris?
Faye, if we're going to look down here, you can see there's a highway patrol vehicle, Department of Public Safety down here, and he was going up the side of the embankment and then back down. We thought that he was going to roll into that water there. It's hard to tell whether he's completely stuck or if he's just trying to get where exactly he's trying to go, but he zigzagged through this blue car and an SUV, and then he came down to the side of the embankment there and started to slide sideways. I don't know if you can tell from where you are zoomed into it, from where I'm at with all this rain. It's hard. Well, it looks like he is continuing to go down and check on somebody down a little bit further towards 53rd Avenue there. But a bunch of these guys were running down there because they were afraid that that officer was going to roll into the water sideways off of the embankment when he was spinning his wheels in the mud. But apparently he's trying to get down there. Some pretty tense moments here, Faye, in a situation that has been growing throughout the morning. I'll step back over here to give you an idea in case you're just now joining us now. This is 43rd Avenue and I-10, a giant lake as the water continues to pour down. Just to the west of us, they're starting to get some of those cars turned around. People are going to try to finally get out of traffic who were stuck in traffic, but not stuck in the water. Faye, who knows when this water is going to go down? It's going to be a while. And these people who got stuck in this high water, well, that's going to do a lot of damage to their cars.
Yeah. Chris, we've been online on azcentral.com. We just flipped over to 12 News as well. So give us a little reset out there in terms of, we've been watching this red car behind you to try and get a gauge of if the water's going up or the water's going down. And also how these drivers ended up in this situation. Obviously, the water was not this deep when they drove into it.
Well, photojournalist Daniel Clark and I came through this area about 3:30 this morning, and we were headed westbound on the I-10. And we were headed to another area, and we were surprised that there was some water in the road here. There was probably 6 inches of water in the farther left lanes. In the right lanes, there was more. But we were able to make it through because as the semis were going through and some of the bigger cars were going through, the water was being pushed out of the way, so it was a little bit deceiving. We got off then at 51st Avenue because we knew that this was going to create a problem. It looked like the water was still rising, and as we came back around here, within a half hour, 45 minutes, there were a lot of cars that were starting to get submerged here. Some of them, they were just surprised. They were in the further right lanes, and when the semis would come by, the wake from the semis would push the water over their hoods, and then their car would just stall in this water. We saw some people walking across traffic as there were cars and SUVs and semis coming through. Then eventually an hour later it was just semis and SUVs, and then there were a few semis, and then no one could get through. The eastbound lanes actually stayed a little nicer longer than the westbound lanes, and that may be why we have the problem across the way from us, where you can see that the off-ramp here eastbound onto 43rd Avenue from the 10 is closed because there's a bunch of cars over there that got blocked off in the water. They got submerged in the water. There's a semi, looks like it might be stuck up in the mud of the berm trying to get off the freeway. So that then blocked off hundreds of cars and semis on the I-10 trying to figure out what they were going to do. And some of those people have been stopped for hours now, finally turning their cars around, and it appears police over there working to get the semis turned around, trying to get them to go westbound in the eastbound lane so they can get off the freeway at another off-ramp. Faye, I just want to give you one more shot over here on the 43rd Avenue bridge behind us. You can see the water, and it is really a lake from just beyond that bridge until, you know, halfway down to the 53rd Avenue exit here on the westbound lanes. It's a mess. A growing lake on I-10.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, spin the camera around, would you? Let's take a look at that emergency responder one more time and see how he's doing.
Yeah, he's farther down. In fact, I think we're going to have to walk down. We can walk back up and look. Those are his flashing lights down there. He's further down now on the 10, going westbound in the westbound lanes in the far left, maybe the HOV lane towards the center of the road, almost to where the exit-only sign is for the 53rd Avenue exit. But he made it through. I tell you what, Faye, when we first saw him going through there and zigzagging on the median, it was really tense over here. There were several guys who ran down thinking that they were going to have to try to help out that DPS officer as he tried to zigzag down in there. These men and women with law enforcement and fire and rescue, they're out here trying to help a lot of these people out, and you can see that they get themselves into some pretty hairy situations when the weather's like this.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Chris, thank you very much. We're just getting in some more school closure information, closures and delays, actually. The Roosevelt School District, they canceled classes earlier this morning. That goes for all the schools, all the classes. Same goes for the Litchfield Elementary School District, all classes, all schools. Washington Elementary is reporting that they are delayed until further notice. The Arizona School for the Arts also on the closure list. All Saints Episcopal and Victory High School also closed for the day. That is just some of the list. We're trying to put some of this information out on our Facebook page as well. So you can always head there at 12 News Facebook page, or check us on Twitter at 12 News. On Twitter is where you will find us if you are following the developments on social media. All right, 7:21 right now. Let's check in with Jimmy to see what the radar looks like and how long this rain is going to last.
Okay, well, looks like this rain's going to continue, at least this big pocket here, another hour at least. And then there's going to be more storms throughout the day, possibly into tomorrow. Remember, this is the moisture coming in from our Hurricane Norbert, weakening to a tropical storm, but the moisture's still in place. It was thrown right in here. Computer models went crazy. We forecasted the rain. It was kind of slow. It didn't get here yesterday. I heard the jokes running right and left about where the rain is. Well, it's finally here. This is the flash flood warnings, 10:30 a.m. They go until 10:30 a.m. from Cave Creek down towards Phoenix. Areas in green right now are flash flood watches. So to the south of Maricopa County, they have been lifted. That's some good news. We are closing in on a record as far as the all-time record for rain here in one day. The old record is 2.91 inches. We've had 2.5 inches already out at Sky Harbor. And we go by Sky Harbor, it's just an average. Santan Valley, I know a lot of you have seen more, has had 1.24 inches. Deer Valley, 2.83. Now, we picked up over at 44th and Thomas, we had an official rain gauge of 4.80 inches of rain. And that comes from the Maricopa County Flood Control and their gauges that they have set up. Litchfield Park, 2 inches of rain. South Mountain, 3.43 inches of rain. Other honorable mentions, Scottsdale, 2.20, Tempe, 2.76, Paradise Valley, 3.35 inches of rain. Mesa also 2.2 inches. And Faye, we're thinking right now this could potentially be the 100-year flood.
A 100-year flood.
Possibly, yeah. Boy. Weather Service has to compute all the models and get all the data from the past, but this could be a 100-year flood.
And the flash flood warning is still in effect. All right. I want to give you an update on some of the school closures because it is about that time of the morning usually where you're getting the kids ready for school. So let me just read them off to you here. All Saints Episcopal Day School, Arizona School for the Arts, Buckeye Elementary, Buckeye Union High School District, Creighton, Christ Church School, Dysart Schools, Eagle College Prep, George Gervin Prep Academy, Levine Elementary School District. Attendance is optional on that one. Litchfield Elementary, Pendergast, Roosevelt, Tempe Union High School, optional to attend or delay on Tempe Union High School District, and Valley Lutheran High School. That is the most up-to-date list that we have. That is updated as of just a few moments ago. So if you're a parent getting the kids ready to go to school, that is the list for you. We're also going to try and put that information up on our 12 News Facebook page. All right, at 7:24, let's bring in Emma now because the roads are just an absolute mess. Some of the highways are closed down. Some of the surface streets not much better.
Yeah, along with the road or the school closures, we have major road closures. We're talking almost every single highway that's affected. Right now I'm showing you a live look. I know it's a little blurry. We can't help that with the rain that came down, but this is the 202 in Scottsdale Road. This is the 202 Red Mountain, and we do have a crash that is going to be blocking the HOV lane as you're making your way eastbound. You can see those westbound lanes are actually moving. No reports of any closures, major closures on the 202 Red Mountain. However, it seems that the roads without any closures are the ones that are getting the most crashes, so remember to go slow. We're switching our camera here. That's why you're seeing that green flash. That's the road that we showed you live from Chris Williams. This is right at 43rd Avenue where it's completely washed out. Want to back it up here on the 10 though and show you how it's looking right around 75th Avenue where we are being taken off. Again, this is the 10 as you are making your way eastbound and westbound. You will be taken off at 75th Avenue, one of the many spots where it will be closed for our drivers. So not only do we have to deal with closures on the 10, but also on the 17, the 51. So let's get straight over to it as we hop over to your maps. maps. Show you some of those closures that we're seeing out there. The 10 by far is our worst roadway. Pretty much from Loop 101 all the way in, actually further back than Loop 101, you will have standing water out on the 10. That's according to ADOT. No matter where you are, even if it is still open, there will be floods all across the highway. You can see right here on the 10 near Loop 101 where the entire road is completely flooded down to about 5 miles per hour. But it's still open. So remember to use those center lanes. That's where it's going to be the driest, if you can really say that. It's not very dry. Here's the 10 at 59th Avenue. So we're closed at 75th. We're going to be closed again at 59th, where all cars are going to be taken off, and again at 43rd. So those are going to be our major closures out there on the 10. Pretty much. Only option is to not use the 10. The side streets are even worse, so just a heads up, it's going to be very slow for our drivers. We're going to talk about Grand Avenue now. We have a closure here from 51st to 59th Avenue. We have another closure at Grand Avenue. That's at 19th Avenue. So this morning, that's all due to all of that flooding that's out there. We're going to pop over now to the 17. On Greenway and on Bell, there are limited closures right around the area, right where it meets up with the 17. So just a heads up, if you're trying to use Bell or Greenway, you can't this morning right around the 17. As we continue heading southbound, this is the 17 right near Indian School Road. Northbound and southbound completely shut down this morning because if you can see it from this picture, there is a bit of a dip in the road just right under the ramp. That's where all of the water has funneled off and pretty much is just sitting there. It's impossible to get through, so cars are being taken off there, but you can hop right back on. So that's the good news there at the 17. We have some limited closures that are pretty on and off at the 17 near Grant. It was closed earlier this morning. They opened it back up for a little bit. Looks like they're going to start to close it in some spots again right near Grant. When you're going through, it's going to be very slow, down about 20 miles per hour. So just a heads up, you may want to just completely avoid that altogether. Another closure here. This is on the 51. Heading southbound. This is right near McDowell. Was a crash. They had to completely block off all lanes of traffic. Does look like they're able to move it to the side of the road, but it's very, very wet. The 51 right near Thomas. We had another crash that was right through this area, unfortunately, that blocked off our roadway. But this is the 51 right near Coulter. Another accident here. You can see it's pulled off. So again, even though this part of the roadway is open, we're still seeing so many accidents, and that just makes it even worse for our drivers. Closure on the 51 is going to be right around Cactus this morning, which actually is a spot where when you get off, the side streets are even worse. So just expect it to be bad. A wider look for folks on the 101. As you're making your way both directions, we're not experiencing any major closures there, which is good news. However, in just the past hour, we had quite a few crashes on the 101. So even though the road is open, it's still extremely dangerous because of all the accidents that have popped up. We're heading over now to the 60. Right near Priest Fay, we had a crash here. It just cleared up a few minutes ago, but this is one of the spots that was closed for a better part of the morning. They did open it back up, but it's still very wet. Same for Mill. They just opened this back up for our drivers as well. As you're making your way westbound and eastbound, this was one of the spots that I was taken off the roadway at, completely flooded, but now it's opened. So that's good news. We're heading over to the 60 in Val Vista. Right now, this is another spot that was closed earlier this morning. They have opened it back up to drivers, but take a look at the speed. You're going about 10 miles per hour max. We want to hop to the 202 Santan. This was closed. They reopened it, but now it sounds like they're taking folks off the 202 Santan at Price Road. A wider look over the rest of the East Valley. We're just touching on highways here. We have a whole slew of side streets, Faye, that are completely shut down. For a list of that, go to my Twitter page at EmmaJade12 News.
Yeah, and I just want to share some information I just saw from Sky Harbor Airport that they are saying that they're at the airport. It is now officially a record that 2.96 inches of rain breaks the all-time calendar day record there at Sky Harbor Airport. We're trying to get some updated flight information there if they're experiencing delays or cancellations. We're working on that for you right now. Also want to share that we just spoke with the Chandler schools. Chandler schools are open, but they're saying that attendance is optional. If you are having trouble getting out of your neighborhood or getting into the school area, know that attendance is optional there in the Chandler school district. So that is the latest there. Now let's get back to the roads because that is where we are seeing the worst situations going on right now. One bad area where Tricia Hendricks is. She is in Tempe this morning, Rural and Broadway. And Tricia, we've seen it kind of come and go in this area for a while there. It looked like it was improving and doesn't look like it now anymore.
Exactly, Faye. Completely shut down right here where we're located between McClintock and Rural Road. So you can see flashing lights out here. Tempe PD, they're doing a great job of making sure no one takes a risky chance. But earlier, we were seeing a lot of people take that chance. One person got stuck further down from what one officer told us. They were able to get out. And then we just saw some other people pushing another vehicle through this parking lot where we're standing right here. As Jimmy mentioned, 2 inches of rain received in Tempe, but you can see there's about 6 to 8 inches of water that's accumulated right here on Broadway. So earlier it was completely covering the median. It has receded a little bit, but not very much, maybe an inch or maybe 2 in some spots. Earlier it was going over my boots. It was about a foot deep in some spots. You can see some vehicles taking that chance, heading out of this parking lot. What this Tempe police officer told me is that they can block off the big roads, but not every single exit where there's plazas, gas stations, parking lots here, because they are stretched thin right now because of all of the delays. They want to make sure that they can block off those major roadways. So we see one person here, one officer blocking Terrace and Broadway, and then also down where we just saw James Quinones, photographer James Quinones, who's with me here, shooting down that way. So again, my boots, they were completely covered earlier. Now it's going down a little bit, and we're not soaking in to the saturated ground as much. But watch out for road closures, as Emma said, on the major roadways. But a lot of the surface streets, you can't get anywhere fast. So 2 scenarios: either you're going to head out the door and hit road closures and delays, or if you chance it, you could get stuck and not go anywhere.
Yeah,
so
and
we'll send it back to you guys in the studio for now.
All right, thanks, Trisha. And we are hearing about some breaking news that we're going to send you out that way. So you're going to wrap it up there where you are in Tempe and check the situation out and get your signal up as quickly as you can. All right, more live pictures. These are new pictures just coming into us. This is the area of 51st Avenue and Camelback. And again, you see a lot of cars out there, people trying to get into work, trying to get to school, but there is road flooding there, as there is all over the valley this morning. It is just not a good situation. On the near side of your screen here, again, this is 51st Avenue and Camelback. You can see cars are essentially down to 1 lane, really trying to avoid the more flooded parts of the street. On the other side, the situation seems to be a little bit better. But again, you're really being urged this morning, if you don't have to be out, or certainly if you don't have to be out right away, please take a little time, try and have an extra cup of coffee, make that call into the office this morning, and let the boss know or the schools know that you just are going to be a little bit late. And again, there are a lot of schools that have actually canceled classes for the day. We're going to try and put that up on our 12 News Facebook page. I'm just getting the updated list in right now and trying to take a look at some of the new ones that we have. St. John Bosco Catholic School has been added to the list. Victory High School we mentioned earlier. This is as of just about 3 minutes ago. Valley Lutheran High School, Tempe Union High School District, Roosevelt, Pendergast, Litchfield Elementary, Levine Elementary School District. The attendance is optional on that one. George Gervin Prep Academy, Eagle College Prep, Dysart Schools, Creighton Christchurch School, Buckeye Union High School District, Buckeye Elementary, Arizona School for the Arts, and All Saints Episcopal Day School on the list of closures or attendance being optional. Best, and we're just getting word, Paradise Honor High School, I believe, is what the name. And elementary. All right, so if your children attend any one of those schools, certainly want to check ahead. Check the district website, check your school's website, or maybe call ahead, because we are getting closures and attendance optional notices from them. All right, we've been calling this a 50-year flood event. Let's bring in Jimmy, because Jimmy, you were saying just a few moments ago, they're checking the record books. This might be a 100-year flood event.
It could be a 100-year flood event. The National Weather Service needs to gather all their records, all their information. And one indicator, this is just broke the record for all-time rain at Sky Harbor in 1 day. The old record was back in 1930. September 4th is when that was. And still, there's more rain that is coming down that can add to most of this. This is how much rain we've seen so far across the valley. 1.85 inches in Gilbert. Queen Creek, 2.68 inches. Apache Junction, 1.73. This is epic. This is just valley-wide. It's just a big bullseye on Maricopa County and Phoenix, and that's where the rain just pounded. 2.83 inches in Fountain Hills, and everything just coming down. Remember those washes are going to be filled. The flood control canals are going to be really up there. Don't let your kids go near them. A lot of those schools are going to be off, and your kids are going to say, hey, Mom, I'll be back. We're just going to go outside. Do not let them go out to any of those canals. Very, very dangerous, and it can just suck you right in immediately. So remember to tell the kids, do not go anywhere near those. 2.32 inches of rain. Peoria 2.56, and the runoff will be tremendous. Goodyear 1.69, Buckeye 2.76, downtown Phoenix, where there's even more rain coming down right now, 2.24 inches. South Mountain right there above Ahwatukee, unfortunately 3.3 inches of rain. North of Maricopa, a little bit to the north, maybe a mile, you had 1.89 inches of rain. We're going to have a flood warning in effect. That's going to go. It started this morning when this rain really kicked in. Now it's been continuing. It goes until 10:30 for this morning, and there's more rain. There's more pockets of rain that are moving through. The big picture, looking way up from Flagstaff down to Phoenix, you can see even more rain, heavy showers, yellows and reds indicating more pockets of rain. Now the ground cannot hold any more. Everything that hits the ground now pretty much just floats to the surface, and it runs downhill, runs into more water. That creates runoff. Your car can be stopped and pushed away in a foot of running water. And a lot of those areas we said were rivers this morning have turned into lakes. There's cars. We have pictures of cars just floating on the freeway. This is the current radar. More rain right now coming out of Avondale, a very strong pocket right about to hit the downtown Phoenix area. This little cell is going to go all the way towards Surprise along the 60, the 17, even these deep greens indicating good consistent rain. Sky Harbor still getting more rainfall, and that's why their totals went up. They beat the all-time record for rain in one day. This is epic. I always say we need to catch up on rainfall. You never want to catch up like this, Faye. You never do, because the ground just can't hold it. So Sky Harbor, 2.96 inches of rain, all-time record for as much rain as we've ever received in one day. And this could potentially be the 100-year flood. Most rain we know we've seen here in 44 years.
Yeah, certainly, and that goes for downtown as well, because I'm just looking at the windows here behind our studios, and it is still pouring. Let's take you up to the roof of our downtown studios and show you the view from all around the valley here as we look out onto the valley, and you can see there is just a whole lot of rain every direction we look. This is one of the views for you this morning. And here is another view. You can see the valley is just absolutely socked in this morning, and the streets down below certainly soaking wet. Let's show you some of the other views from around town this morning. This is I-10 and 43rd Avenue. This is one of the hardest hit areas. Now, this area is completely shut down, and in fact, there are people stranded in cars. We're going to get to Chris Williams. He's going to bring us a live report from this area in just a moment. But here's how those people got stuck. This was the situation early this morning before the sun was even up. You could see a string of cars trying to get through. The tow trucks were busy. One of the tow trucks actually had problems. And a lot of people, what ended up happening to them is you see some of the large trucks going through right there. They were kind of surfing, if you will, in the wake of those trucks, and then another wave would hit them and it would just flood the car, and those cars would get stuck. Those drivers would get stranded, and many of them have abandoned their cars. Again, we're going to get to Chris Williams and a live update from that situation at I-10 and 43rd Avenue in just a moment. Let's take you to a flooded garage. This is in Phoenix. This is near 75th Avenue and Lower Buckeye. And, you know, it all depends on the topography in your own neighborhood. If you're in a low-lying area, the water comes rushing your direction. And maybe you've never seen this before, or maybe you have, but it is a very, very bad situation for a lot of folks. This is a flooded garage. Hopefully that doesn't extend to this person's house. We have been asking for your pictures all morning long, saying please send them in to us. So we are getting some very dramatic images into our 12 News Facebook page. You can also send them in to us on Twitter as well. Here's one of the more serious situations going on around the valley right now. This is a roof that collapsed at a Fry's store. This is at Baseline and McClintock. We are going to have Trisha Hendricks give us a live update on what the situation is there right now. But here's what one witness says happened.
The roof caved in over in patio area. We're all just minding our own business, and the next thing you know, my boss started telling everyone to evacuate the store, and sure enough, the whole roof just completely collapsed in. It took out our sprinkler system, so it started flooding our entire store, and we don't know if the rest of the roof is going to cave in, so that's why they evacuated it, which I'm not surprised because it's a really old store, and I think a couple of years ago, our roof and home department caved in as well, so it kind of created a chain reaction type of thing.
All right. Well, there you heard from a witness who was there at the scene. Again, this is the Fry's Marketplace that was evacuated after a roof collapsed at McClintock and Baseline in Tempe. All right. Now, more pictures coming into us. This is the 51 and Indian School where you can see, let's see if we can drop the lower third banner there so we can give people a better view of what's going on. This is the situation. This is what it was like driving through that area. Now, again, some areas the roads are wet. They're not flooded, but other areas are very much flooded, and it can come on you very quickly, as we've seen on I-10. Again, this is the 51 at about Indian School. So thank you for sending all of those images in. We certainly do appreciate it.